Vietnam War True Stories, the Shake and Bake Sergeants. During the Vietnam War, the United States Army faced a growing problem. Thousands of new soldiers were entering the service, combat units were expanding, and experienced non-commissioned officers were needed faster than the Army's traditional promotion system could produce them. Sergeants were the men expected to lead squads, supervise patrols, enforce discipline, train younger soldiers, and make immediate decisions under fire. But as the war intensified, there were not enough veteran NCOs available to fill every leadership position. The Army's answer was the non-commissioned officer candidate course. Promising young soldiers were selected after basic training or advanced infantry training and placed into an accelerated leadership program. In approximately 21 weeks, they were taught subjects normally learned through years of service. The course emphasized weapons, tactics, map reading, field communications, physical conditioning, leadership, and small unit operations. Candidates practiced issuing orders, organizing defensive positions, controlling fire, leading patrols, and caring for the men under their command. Those who completed the program could be promoted rapidly to sergeant and sent to Vietnam. The nickname given to them was rarely intended as a compliment. Other soldiers called them Shake and Bake Sergeants, a reference to something produced quickly from a prepared mixture. The name suggested that the Army was manufacturing instant NCOs without the years of experience traditionally associated with the rank. Some veteran soldiers distrusted them. Many graduates were only 19, 20, or 21 years old. Some arrived in Vietnam wearing sergeant stripes despite having served only a short time longer than the riflemen they were expected to lead. A newly promoted sergeant might enter a platoon in which several men already possessed more combat experience than he did. Those veterans knew the jungle, recognized the sounds of incoming fire, understood the habits of their unit, and had already learned which textbook lessons did not survive contact with the battlefield. The young NCO had rank, but he still had to earn their confidence. For many, that test came quickly. Within days or weeks of arriving, a shake and bake sergeant could find himself leading a squad into the jungle. He might be responsible for choosing movement formations, positioning machine guns, checking for mines and booby traps, maintaining radio contact, and ensuring that no man became separated from the patrol. When firing began, there was no time to consult an instructor. The sergeant had to identify the threat, return fire, move his men into cover, report the situation, request artillery or helicopter support, and decide whether to advance, withdraw, or attempt to reach the wounded. The lives of perhaps 10 or 12 soldiers could depend upon the judgment of someone who had been a private only months earlier. Some struggled under that burden. The accelerated system could teach procedures, but it could not provide the instincts created by years of service or months in combat. Inexperienced leaders sometimes made mistakes, and the consequences in Vietnam could be immediate and permanent. But many graduates proved themselves. They listened to experienced soldiers, learned from platoon sergeants, studied the terrain, and refused to rely on rank alone. Some earned respect by carrying the same loads, sharing the same danger, and placing the welfare of their men before their own comfort. A sergeant who remained calm during an ambush, brought his wounded men home, or refused to leave someone behind could quickly erase doubts about how he had received his stripes. The program also produced future senior leaders. Men who entered Vietnam as rapidly trained junior sergeants later remained in the Army, gaining the experience they had initially lacked. Some eventually became first sergeants, sergeants major, and senior advisors who helped rebuild the Army's NCO Corps after the war. Their story reflected the pressures created by Vietnam's replacement system. Soldiers frequently arrived and departed individually rather than remaining together as a unit for an entire deployment. Experienced leaders rotated home, replacements arrived continuously, and platoons could lose vital knowledge every time a veteran NCO completed his tour. The Shake and Bake program filled urgent vacancies, but it could not completely replace continuity and experience. These young sergeants occupied an unusual position. They were expected to act like seasoned leaders before they had been given time to become seasoned soldiers. They entered combat carrying authority, responsibility, and the knowledge that every decision would be judged by men who might know the battlefield better than they did. Some were resented. Some were doubted. Some failed. Others led with extraordinary courage. The term Shake and Bake may have begun as a dismissive nickname, but the men who wore those quickly earned stripes were not all the same. Their reputations were ultimately decided in the jungle on patrol, under fire, and in the way they treated the soldiers placed in their care. They were products of an emergency training system created by a war that needed leaders immediately. Many arrived in Vietnam with limited experience and enormous responsibility. Then combat gave them the hardest leadership course the Army could offer. If you have any photos, videos, or stories to share, please send us a message. And to all veterans, thank you for your service.